Well, that was really freaking cool and unexpected.
Happy New Year, everybody. Holy
Wow.
crap. That was a present from Garrett right before we went live.
Oh,
So.
that was awesome. It looked very cool.
Hey,
I
Daza,
do like our
welcome.
explosion, but that was cool as hell. I was like, wait, what is this?
This is the coldest open ever.
Look how professional we look.
And then we blew it by being like, oh my God, we're so excited about ourselves. Like, hey, everybody, welcome to Powerbombshells.
Happy New Year. Welcome to episode 45. We are glad that you are here with us. It looks like we've already got a couple people in the chat. Hello, Daza and Brad. Thank you for being here with us today. Hope that you all have a happy new year. And Daza's a few hours into January the 1st.
Yeah, they get there ahead of us. I was talking to my Irish friend on I was like, oh, you're almost there. Let me know how it looks.
Yeah, right.
I try to get reports from the future since they get there first.
Right,
so
right.
How's
As you should.
2023? It's always
Well, I hear in Japan they've already been having some bangers today with the Noah show.
Noah show sounds amazing.
I saw Daza says it's 6 p.m. there. So yeah. Wow. Daza's day one's winding down over there.
It's almost January 2nd where he is. Jeez.
Yeah. Brad is also catching up on the Noah show.
Weird. It's very
time travel is very weird because and we're way ahead of. Well, I'm on the East Coast, so I'm way ahead of Mike in Hawaii.
We're also on the East Coast, so
yes.
Garrett got up early to give us that present at the beginning.
Well, I appreciate that.
And I made sure, and I had to wear one more hat for you. So.
I appreciate it. I love it. Keep the hats coming. So Brad said he just watched the GHC title match. Oh my. Yeah, I heard that. I saw Shinsuke's entrance, which I've watched 3 times already because it was epic.
It's because it was on. That was I haven't gotten a chance. I've been running around doing all the stuff this morning. I haven't gotten a chance to listen because I know that they had the actual violin player, right?
They did. They did bring in Lee England Jr. and they brought him to the press conference, which I thought was a pretty big flex. and he got
I have a friend who's watching, and they said that Liger was showing up.
I saw Liger in a picture with Shinsuke, but you know how Google Translate or Twitter Translate works. So I thought it was from I thought it was from where he saw him recently, but then I guess maybe it was from today.
Yeah, I heard that what did he say is Muda pulled out all the stops and he's cashing in all his favors for his farewell tour. As he should.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean I keep hearing it's Wrestle Universe. Everybody's signing up for it because you get a bunch of free Wrestle Universe for a little while, and it has TJPW on it. I think it obviously has Noah on it, which is what has been the new big. There was a free Noah show that I watched this week because it was recommended to me. They're really good.
I have heard really good things about them. I know that Kojima has been wrestling over there. Brad says that Liger did guest commentary for the show. That's
perfect.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad. Thank you for filling us in. I've heard some people say that Kenta had a match of the year candidate already from today. I saw a couple of clips from the match, and he was just hitting the crap out of his opponent, just not even holding back, just they look like shoot hits. They were so hard.
I'm excited to check out some more shows because I was like, oh, okay, it's free and it was recommended, and I put it on and I was like, let's see how this goes, and it was 3 matches later, and I can't of course remember everybody's name, but I have been following some of the wrestlers on Twitter just randomly because they were an anniversary show, crossovers or whatever.
Right.
And so I sort of had an idea of who I was looking at, but there's a lot of good stuff over there. Yeah. And now I'm like, all of you all people out there and my friends are signing up for the free bit of Wrestle Universe that you get, and they're all coming away like, I'm not unsubscribing.
Right. Because it's like 2 weeks free or something, right?
Yeah, I think there's some period of free.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
there's
I feel like I've
bunch of
seen
like
these
really
like 2
good
weeks.
stuff you can catch up on. There's the like I think the Joshi Pro, one of the
Oh, cool.
Like there's the women and there's some of the it's all the stuff that crap, he told me who it was. It's all the stuff that one of the TV stations over there owns. They put it on Wrestle Universe. And
oh, nice.
He called it the New Japan Extended Universe, which I was like, that's actually pretty apt.
That's
perfect. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So yeah,
the
so
Maki Daza says that you could watch the Maki Matches, and
I saw
like really, really good there.
I saw she's gang affiliated. She used the pizza cutter last night. GCW. Yes, I'm sure. Yeah, I can only imagine how Maki Ito in Japan is, because she's fantastic from what I've seen here. So I can imagine that she's only better. And we'll go back to this time zone conversation real quick. Daza said when he goes to Vegas for his 50th in March, he'll gain 7 hours on my 40s. Hey, I think that sounds like a really good deal.
See, I like this. I like how this is working out. We can make time travel work to our advantage instead of it being a negative thing. That's what's the most important.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Happy New Year, Sam.
Happy New Year, Mel.
We did like, I don't know, a lot of episodes. We've done 45 episodes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. I think we're figuring it out a little bit. We're having a good time trying to look like we know what we're doing.
Well, this is like one of my favorite things I've ever done. So I think that if you're having fun, you're doing it right.
I mean, exactly.
What's bad about talking about wrestling with someone cool and getting to know new people in this awesome group that is hanging out.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen it, because I know obviously yesterday people were doing some things and probably not on their phones as much, but we put a little message up on our Twitter and our Instagram last night. And so we hope you check that out, and we appreciate you being here, whether this is your first one or your 45th one. We're glad to have you here with us. And we will probably, especially now that we're past the holiday stuff, we will probably be live every Sunday unless something comes up. But we'll be live every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, heading into most of this year. So just be prepared to come hang out with us on Sundays at 1 o'clock. So and yes, I know football. We know football is still on. I actually have the Panthers game on right now, because if by some miracle they win today and next week, they'll win our terrible division, the NFC South that nobody wants to win. But yeah, so, and yes, we know, we'll probably be competing against, we'll be earlier in the day. So I guess we won't be competing against Rihanna when she performs at the Super Bowl. We'll be earlier in the day.
That will be a lonely week after. We all know that the week after, like even the NFL knows it. That's why they stuffed the Pro Bowl in the 2-week break between, because it used to be the Pro Bowl was the week after. And we'd all tune into the Pro Bowl and we'd watch it for 5 seconds and be like, it's not the same. And it only reinforces that football's over and I'm done with this.
Yeah, I can't even remember the last time I watched the Pro Bowl. Probably 2015 because like a bunch of Panthers got into it that year, because that was the year that they did. That was the last time that they did really, really, really well. And so I think that's the last time.
It is though, they killed the part where they yeah, exactly. I hear ya.
Yeah.
I have largely dropped watching the NFL this year because the Seahawks have been so
Yeah, I had some issues, obviously, and I've talked about it a few, when football season started, I had some issues because of David Tepper and some of the things that he was doing and players that he was pursuing. But then I realized that's the players who play for the Panthers. That's not their fault that he did those things, and that he tried to get a terrible person to come play for them. Had they signed him, I would have just quit watching altogether. But I definitely haven't been as involved This year, as I have been previously, but but that's a whole other a whole other thing.
We could talk football for hours. As a matter of fact, here, what is the Pro Bowl used to be the week after the Super Bowl, and then they moved it to the week in between because there's the 2-week break between the end of the season and the Super Bowl to try and get people to watch it, and it hasn't worked to the best of my knowledge.
No, I don't think it has. I don't know anybody.
That might be interesting to have a. Nah, because you don't want one of your guys risking getting hurt. You do it at the end of the season with that makes more sense. Okay, let's. Hey, this is not the NFL shells or something. I don't know, whatever. But first of all, I need to got to point this out is that you guys need to stick around until the end because we have a very special
to
us.
Yeah, you guys are gonna love it because I think speaking for both of us, I'm sure Mel did too, but I loved it and I think it's amazing and I cannot wait to share it with you guys.
I did a little fudging around on the editing so that we could play it, but we're gonna play it at the end just in case something like decided that it wanted to dive bomb our stream and stuff. So you're gonna. We're not pulling one of those wait till the end deals. Yeah. It's gonna be a stinger. So think Marvel if you're familiar with it. And at the end, and we are going to play it. And that way you'll get to get it closest to its glory. And then I think what I decided, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but what I decided is I'm going to release the original version. That was a thank you to Justin Nipper from Write That Down podcast and to Paul Fontaine for what you guys are going to hear later because you'll adore it.
Are you going to put it on the audio feed? I'm going to release it
in the glory in its glorious format on our audio feed.
Yes,
the worst that they can.
That's a fantastic idea.
The worst that they can do is tell me, "Hey, knock it off." So and that's fine if I have to do that, and then you'll get to hear the original amazing. So when you go looking for our podcast audio on Monday, you'll get it in its glory. So you get 2 Easter eggs.
I would say you get
2 Easter eggs
tomorrow.
in one, folks. Nice. This is 2023. We are starting out with a power bang.
We are. Now we need our explosion sound.
Oh,
we're gonna have to keep that sound effect, even if we keep the fancy new opener.
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely keeping the sound effect because it can't go away. No. I can use it as our outro on our audio now.
Okay, cool.
I mean, we were bound to get like super graphics sooner or later. I was gonna start trying to cozy up to Mike and JD over there because their spoiler graphic is freaking amazing.
It is. I do love our spoiler graphic, but theirs is pretty.
I love the picture because it's obnoxious and fun. But man, I was over there. I was watching one of their videos recently, and I was like, "Oh, you guys do the best graphics. That's why you're the anchor."
Really good graphics. BFI.
That's why they're the anchor.
They do.
That's why we love you guys.
Yeah,
love you all very much.
We do.
And we're kind of getting the last word. Everybody's released. Everyone on the Fight Game Media Network pretty much has released their of the years.
Yeah. So you're getting ours on the first day of 2023.
That's okay, because we get the first word and the last word.
That is true. All right. So are we just should we just hop right into it then?
Yeah, you feeling it? Are you ready? I had to make a list.
I have a list. I had some problems with one of the questions. I don't have a clear answer for it, which we'll get to.
I totally understand.
I struggled with. I was like, it's really not that serious. Like, it's not like it's a life or death if I don't pick the right match. But I struggled really hard.
I this year, because this is like the most committed, and so my friend and I yesterday we hung out and did our Wrestling Observer ballots for the year newsletter because the deadline was like right then. I mean, it was basically that day. So, and holy crap, when you go through some of this stuff, it's like,
My list is ridiculously long. Like, and this year was the first, like, I've been keeping track for the last few years in the notes app on my phone, which I've mentioned on here quite a few times. But this year,
Smart.
I also did honorable mentions, and the honorable mentions, I don't really have a, like, what makes it an honorable mention compared to a match of the year. It's just like, I was just like, I kind of like, this was an awesome match, but I don't know that it's match of the year. And then I was looking at them and I was like, this could probably be match of the years. Then this year, I did something different. I also put it in like elevation and dark matches of the year. Like, there's probably some that I forgot, but there were a few that like I kept track of and added to my list. And I'm going to post the list in full, like, well, depending on how Instagram crops things. It will definitely be on Twitter. I will probably try to put it up on Instagram as well, but that way that everybody can take a look at like what
that
I
way
had
we
on
won't
there.
have like a 40-hour stream this time.
Yeah,
so. We'll
yeah,
do that for a tele. Like if Fight Game Media ever needs to do like a like raise money for 12 hours, we are definitely your girls. We're gonna host that.
Yeah, we can do that.
So,
all right,
and let's see. All right. Oh, I got one more thing to plug here.
Okay.
This is the newest shirt by the One Red TR Obey Cube there,
right,
who did our artwork. I love to plug his
our
stuff.
amazing logo that we have.
Yeah, and
that maybe one day we'll see on some merch.
Yeah, maybe.
One day, if people are into it, maybe
the fun thing about Cube is that he actually does put his art and other people's art on merchandise. So it's almost like there's something there.
It's almost like maybe we should make that happen.
But I gotta plug this because if you join the One Rad Tea Club, it's One Rad Tea, just spelled out .com, and we've got our fun club over there where he does all retro gaming inspired stuff. Right. But we've got like new artists and everything. So every year you get the designed T-shirt as part of the Patreon subscriptions.
That's really cool.
And that is what started everything. Is that he used to just do the Kickstarters for the shirt. But there was this whole community that started to form around it. And so we turned it into a thing and we have a kick-ass Discord, and you all would like it because it's more our kind of the folks that like hang out in Fight Game Media. Some of them are even members. So
awesome. Very cool.
I got to give a big first of the year shout out because we have like the best art.
Yeah, we do. I mean,
everyone was just like, yes, please put us on your feed, your audio feed, because of your wonderful artwork.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Oh, wouldn't they?
Anyway, let's get into our lists.
All right. So it looks like so we're going to start with the moment of the year. Do you want to give your moment of the year first?
All right. So I'm going to kind of like smush it together because my ultimate moment of the year, because it's hard to, and this is going to come up a few times in this list, but getting to go to Forbidden Door.
Yeah, that's
I went to the first like crossover. They're going to start doing it more often. First time in Chicago, got to enjoy that, got to see friends, but what a show. And
and Mel and I have already put it into the universe a couple times that we're going to go to a Forbidden Door show together, and then we're going to make some content too.
Well, now that the thing is up in the air for where it could be, because I actually submitted a question and Dave answered that, they put it in Chicago because of Punk. Right. Now they don't necessarily need to. So I'm like, oh, well, where could it be? So here's hoping it's a good, easy, accessible, like someplace that we can all sort of get
affordable flight.
Yeah, someplace, there's lots of fun places. Yeah. Like it'd be cool to do it at Madison Square Garden because you kind of like, Jesus, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
Yeah. But yes, Forbidden Door and obviously, and meeting Minoru Suzuki and getting to see him wrestle, like those are like, it's how do you beat those things?
Right. No, yeah. Yeah, and I got to see Suzuki not last year, year before last, and unfortunately didn't get to meet him because there's the miscommunication and I got there late. We went through this story before, but yeah, so that's another thing out in the universe that Suzuki is going to come back. I'm going to get to meet him, but I have got to see him wrestle, and he wrestled against Anthony Henry, and he that they murdered each other, which was fun. So, speaking of Anthony Henry, I heard that Friday night him and Robert Martyr had a 5-star match. And I've seen a couple clips from it, and I don't know how Robert Martyr is not dead after Anthony Henry threw his neck into the apron. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. But so yeah, I was like, oh, we're trying to get some. I was like, listen, I've already had a hard enough time picking out match of the year, and you're just gonna throw another one in here. Jeez, I didn't get to see it yet, but I've heard
11th hour.
Yeah,
11th hour.
Yeah, people just trying to get in these lists.
Just under the wire. Oh, yeah. Just missed. Sorry, man.
Do you have any other moments of the year?
No, those were the two big ones. Those were because I mean, you know, you could do like stuff on tape, but for me, I mean, those were like
I don't think you could.
So
yeah,
your turn.
Okay, so well, my moment of the year is a lot of people's moment of the year, especially because I covered it so much. My moment of the year is Vince McMahon resigning from WWE. I mean, there were other there were other big stories, but just I don't think anything tops that. And it's also not only the fact that he did retire, it's the reason why he retired. I think that, you know, most of us were under the impression that Vince McMahon would just die in his office or die still being in charge of WWE. And then it turns out that it was because of all the terrible things that he was doing the things that we know about. I'm sure there's much, much more. There's women with NDAs who can't say anything, who maybe even if they didn't have the NDAs, don't want to say anything, which is completely understandable. And then we have people who are trying to kind of not rewrite things, but you have people like Teddy Long came out a few days ago and said that Vince should be allowed to come back because he's not hurting anyone.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
I was like, it's just the women that he assaulted, harassed, raped. Just those women, but they don't count. They don't matter. Not in the grand scheme of things in wrestling, when wrestling is better than everything else. And so so there's some of that conversation. And then, of course, there's conversation, obviously, we've talked about a few times about how he wants to come back, which I hope that never, ever happens. But I know that he has a lot of power and could potentially, yes, exactly, Brad. Yep. Brad said birds of a feather, and that's 100% correct. But yeah, so I don't think there's anything bigger than that, because it's just because of what WWE is to the wrestling industry, because for so long it was they were the only game in town, basically, even with Impact and ROH being there, you know, that was what was there until about 3 or 4 years ago, until AEW became a viable, you know, competition, a viable place for other wrestlers to go. And that's not to say that's not to discredit anything that Vince did for the wrestling business. He did tons of wonderful things and for the business, and he changed it and completely. But that doesn't, you know, negate all the terrible things that he did. Like, both things are true. And so and I don't think there's just not a bigger story. And I don't think that we've heard the end of the story. I think this is a far-reaching story, and I think it's going to be around for a while. But I did do kind of like David, where I picked like the moment of the year, and then also like, I guess, a fun moment of the year type of thing. And so I think I would have to say probably Bray Wyatt's reveal was a pretty big moment for me personally. Just, I thought it was really done really well. The anticipation, it was fun. Like the White Rabbit stuff, like I don't watch WWE often anymore. And so that got me, like, even if I wasn't watching, like, I was following along on Twitter or in like some of the Slack chats, people would send like, oh, this is what they did at this house show and they did this. So it was really fun to kind of just see it unfold and see people get excited about something. And it was really organic. It wasn't forced, which I think made it even better. And then we all knew pretty quickly that it was Bray Wyatt, but it was still getting the reveal was still really, really cool. It was really well done. I really enjoy Bray Wyatt. I've talked about it before that, I think he has such a creative mind. Booking has always gotten in his way. It's always hindered him. It still appears to be hindering him because he he still has not wrestled a match on TV. He did wrestle a house show at Madison Square Garden on the 2-year anniversary of Brody Lee's death, which I thought was a really kind of a cool little thing that for him and to do that. And then I heard a few days later he broke his fingers in that match, and I saw Friday night he had them wrapped. But it sounds like he is getting his first. Well, I don't know if it's his first match. He will be. I know he has the Royal Rumble match at the Royal Rumble match. That's the Pitch Black match, but I don't know if that will be his first TV match. I assume. I mean, they've already saved him this long. They might as well just let that be his debut match, and then because he broke his fingers, maybe he will need that anyway. But I thought that was really cool. And then Nikki and I were trying to talk about other moments of the year, and she mentioned Shibata challenging Orange Cassidy was a pretty big moment because none of us expected that. That is certainly not who I expected. And
Shibata showing up at all, that was like, holy crap.
Yeah, and I mean, we got the Forbidden Door.
Like, wanting to actually, like, he came out, he challenged him, he chose to and wanted to the chain match, including Punk's entrance, was a big one. That's true.
Yeah,
that was Daza.
David's was him coming out to the ROH theme at Revolution for the dog collar match. That was an amazing moment. And then
that the one that our ROH historian screwed up? Okay,
yes,
cool.
I
enjoyed.
One of the same.
For me, that was kind of a moment because I had a lot of fun enjoying like watching Twitter be stupid at Paul. So I mean, not that I want like Paul to get like Twitter heat or anything, but I mean, he brings it on himself. I mean, let's be real. But I'm sorry. Yeah, I had to say it. I said it. It's been said.
And then, yeah. But that match, that was a lot of fun. So Daza said also Julia's win and the 5-star with the 2 great matches on the same night was another moment. Well, yeah, I can imagine. That sounds like that was cool.
I watched that crossover show. She was great.
Yeah, that's where I saw her too.
I am really excited about this. Like, they went in. They're gonna have Stardom in New Japan. Like, I'm excited.
Right. Yeah, it is exciting. And yeah, I've heard Julia's name for a while. And again, I've talked about how like I don't keep up with Stardom, and I should, and I know that it's just not enough time in the day.
It's hard.
But I've always heard really great stuff about her, especially over the last year or so. And so it was really cool to see her at the crossover show. That was my favorite match from the show, I think. And so I really enjoyed that. So I'm looking forward to seeing. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to see more of like that's one of the things. We'll get to the like what we're looking forward to in 2023. But that's one of the things I'm looking forward to is being able to see some of these strong or some of the strong shows that are going to feature some of the Stardom women. Like I'm really looking forward to that, so I can get some exposure. You know that. Daza, that match has been bookmarked since you sent it to me, and I keep forgetting about it. I need to get on that. Daza was kind enough to send me a match, God, probably like 2 or 3 months ago now. And I was like, I'm going to bookmark it so I can watch it. And it's still bookmarked.
You have an IRL job. Yeah. So,
that does not include my IRL job does not include me watching wrestling.
Yeah. Not
unfortunately.
Yet. You just haven't reached, the point where that may come someday, but that day is not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
But just everyone here, everyone has a shoot job. They come here to have fun.
Right.
And you guys come here to have fun also. So
yes.
But there's too much good wrestling right now. They brought this up, someone brought this up this weekend, and it was like, there's so much good right now. Like
there really is. And
there's something for, if you want something, if you're looking for something specific, it's out there for you.
Yep. And then there's stuff that you didn't know you wanted, and then you're like, okay, I do need that. Yeah.
Yes. Oh no, I'll have even less time.
Yeah, exactly.
I won't be able to interact with watch normal humans. I'll only be on the internet.
Get to watch anything else on my DVR except wrestling.
No one will ever understand what I'm talking about. That's okay. It's worth it. It's worth
it is.
The people who know. That's what
exactly. All right.
Although and real quick, just jumping back on that Vince thing, because it was really significant and there isn't more. We went ahead and picked, both agreed that the worst move of the year was giving him like a hero send off when he left. So like our worst of the year.
Yeah.
I did
definitely worst of the year.
I did a quick search because I'm this nerd and I wanted to see. So I went back through some like old like of the year, Wrestling Observer newsletters and like the worst move of the year. And WWE has won it like over and over and over.
Yeah.
And it's like
because they were firing people
hard. Everything, all the way back, things like explaining on hard stuff and doing and I mean, just all these things year after year after year, and it's like icky.
Yeah, so, it is, and they just keep
really gross. Exactly.
And there's just and it was. I mean, it's awful. Firing people in the height of a pandemic is pretty freaking bad, and then they somehow top that, which is not a thing you want to top. Yeah, exactly. Daza said the Stephanie thing was bloody awful. WWE fans did not come across well. No, because they treated him like the Mr. McMahon character.
Yeah.
Which is just a caricature of the man himself. But they treated him like the man they've seen on TV for 20 years and not the man who, because if that was anybody else, I mean, sure, there are WWE fans or just wrestling fans in general, not just WWE fans, that are going to praise people that do bad things and do horrible things. But I mean, it just to put him on TV, I mean, it was all his ego, which we've talked about. That's the only reason why he was on TV. And what is his daughter gonna say? No.
Right.
He's gonna override her. He would have just shown up probably. If she had told him no, he probably would have just hijacked it and come out there anyway. Because what is she gonna do? Nothing on live TV.
23 is gonna be very interesting.
Definitely.
All right. We don't need to bury Vince anymore. That was probably journalistically speaking, probably the biggest thing that happened. I mean, and the Punk thing, obviously, which there's no need to bring it up.
Right.
So
But
we're going to move on to the next
different comparison. Those are two completely different things, too.
It's so different. It just changed the trajectory. I mean, all out. It did. Everything.
Well, and I thought, at the beginning of the year, it seemed like the big story of the wrestling year was going to be Cody leaving AEW and going jumping ship back to WWE.
Oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah, I forgot. that was like what I thought. Like when that happened, I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be like the big thing. Like there's gonna be other big moments, but nothing's gonna top Cody leaving the company he co-founded and jumping ship to the company who didn't see him as a star, and then Vince said, "Hold my beer," and then
he's probably coming back. I mean,
yeah.
All right.
What a mess. But yeah, we'll move on to the next category now.
Let's go to the next thing. The next thing is show of the year.
I think that's a pretty easy one.
I mean,
this was my easiest answer.
All right, go for it. You go.
It's Forbidden Door.
Forbidden Door.
Nothing will top that show. They were great shows. Like AEW did a really good job. They had some really great shows this year, and they never let me down with as far as pay-per-views go, because even we've talked about it before, even sometimes when the build's not that great, and we know how Tony builds things. Tony generally builds things the week of. He'll have like one or two matches that he builds for months at a time, and then he crams it all in like a week before the show. But no matter what the build is, like even shows that aren't as like great or spectacular as the other shows, they're still pretty damn good shows. Like they always, like I've never been, then they still have a lot of goodwill built up. Where I give them the benefit of the doubt
every time.
That's the same way with the Ring of Honor shows. I know obviously there was a lot of discourse about like, was Final Battle going to be worth it? And sure, the price point was not great, and that is something that they need to work on with Ring of Honor, which I completely agree with. But I knew it would deliver, and it did. And so I haven't been let down yet. And so, I mean, sure, there are matches that I didn't care, wasn't crazy about or things like that. But overall, like it doesn't damage the show. And then so for Forbidden Door, like that was the one because, we are obviously New Japan fans. for AEW fans. And so, and that show was snake bitten. Like there were so many injuries, so many matches that were supposed to happen didn't happen. And it still ended up being an incredible show. Ended up being the best show I think either company put on. And I loved WrestleKingdom, but I still think Forbidden Door was better. I love that show.
It was so good. I mean, it was.
And I can imagine like because I saw obviously as it came across on TV. So I can only imagine what it was like for you being in the arena, watching these matches and hearing and you being there with the crowd and things like that.
I'm glad that it made me happy. It warmed my heart that and I wouldn't expect anything less from obviously like Kevin Kelly's broadcast team and doing what they did. And I still haven't been able to get my hands on an actual watch of it from that side, which I'd love to do. I'd love to rewatch it. Because it was like being hypnotized in a lot of ways for several hours. We were talking about how Tanahashi could literally get over anywhere.
Well, and he got Moxley booed. Like that's crazy.
He got
Moxley gets booed in 2022 just doesn't happen. I mean, it seems like that's where he's heading towards 2023 because he keeps making these little snipes at Hangman. It's like, and he, we talked about how he left through the heel tunnel, so it seems like, so we know people will still boo him, but it depends but Tanahashi can get the biggest baby face in the world booed. That's
especially at that moment. It was like at that point in time when things were like weird and we were all adapting to what was going on, and it was so much fun. Like I'm really glad that the presentation was as good as the show in the arena. Like it feels like the got like a similar feel on it. New Japan does a great job doing shows.
They do.
They followed the New Japan format, which was smart because they're the only ones that make a 5-hour pay-per-view feel like nothing.
Right. Well, and you even go back to the buy-in, which people were like, oh, I don't know about these matches, but of course. But the fans were like super into it. Like they were like really behind a lot of these, like, Goto and Yoshihashi are like getting
we had a Yoshihashi chant. That was so
great.
Fun.
That was one of my favorite moments from the whole show. And I was like, yes, give them some love. It was great. I was like, I'm so glad these fans get it. And so I'm really glad that it came across. And so Brad says that's why he doesn't get people asking if ROH and AEW pay-per-views are worth getting. The build isn't always great, but the shows are always great. 100%, Brad. I'm right there with you.
I resisted everything but Death Before Dishonor. I resisted every single show and ended up buying it anyway. So I don't know. I mean, I think maybe it's just part of my gimmick to like. I'm not
a lot of people like Game Media's gimmick is to question whether they're going to buy these shows.
And I'm not paying $40 for this crap. Wow, this is a really good show.
yeah, exactly. And again, I agree with the price points, and we've talked about how Bleacher Report is terrible a lot of the times.
Oh, that streaming service, I hate
so it's not without its flaws for sure. Like I get the hesitation when it comes to the money aspect, and then buying stuff on Bleacher Report, but I don't get the complaints because of the build, because the cards always deliver.
Yep. They need to fix that broken ass thing. I'm not buying I don't know. I'm not even considering Honor Club unless that is fixed.
I don't know.
I can't. I can't do it as much as I want to.
Brad's given some good information over here. I don't want to get him in trouble.
Oh no, yeah. This is not.
I do have a VPN.
So. I've been recommended this many times. We would also get to watch AEW free, a picture-in-picture, and apparently the broadcast crew talks to the Fight TV.
Josiah is always filling us in Slack about the amazing commentary that happens during commercial breaks.
Because they're like, they know that it's like who it is. It's like, these are people that are up at like 3 a.m. watching this.
Right.
Because it's, or I just think it's amazing. Like I was like, dang, I want to hear the commentary in the picture-in-picture.
Yeah, right. I get jealous. I'm like, why didn't I hear?
Yep, I've had that VPN thing.
I wasn't gonna read this, but for the audio people, Brad's suggestion is to get a VPN and never pay more than $20 on Fight TV ever again. And then Brad also says
it's $8 a month, right? Oh, it's $7
again.
a month now. Yeah, so it's $7 a month, and you don't have picture-in-picture. You pay less money for all these things we're complaining about.
Yeah. So there are workarounds, which is always good. And so Daza says that he can't come up with a better show outside of Japan than Forbidden Door.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. I'm so glad that
and I think
I'm glad because it means that we're going to keep getting Forbidden Doors.
Yes. That's what I'm most excited about. Give us some dream matches.
We still have that Danielson Zack Sabre match that we have to watch.
It's gotta happen.
What a time to put it. We didn't get to do it at once, so we'll do it at two.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Tony said that. He's like, I couldn't put every single match on the first Forbidden Door.
Right.
Like, I have to save some things for
reason to come back, man.
Yeah, he's like, I can't just give it all away.
I mean, there's too many good people on both of those promotions.
Yeah, There's so many stars that didn't get featured and that they could easily do, which I'm sure they're going to have some repeats of. Like, you're not going to not have Jon Moxley or Tanahashi be a part of Forbidden Door.
Have to in a way.
They gotta, well, and now like and I was gonna say after, like, you have to feature, like, I think one of the things that stood out the most from that show was the Clark Connors performance. Like,
oh man, yeah.
You and I were already Clark Connors fans before because we watched Strong and we've talked about him before, but like that was just incredible. And then he got injured and it was just killed his momentum, which sucked. But he actually posted a list of who he wants to wrestle in 2023 as a video, and I shared it to the Powerbombshells Insta story.
Yeah,
and I sent it to my group chat, and I was like, I want all these matches to happen. And
I'm here.
And I got a response back.
The one that he listed, I was like,
yeah, because the very first one, he got me. He's like, Alex Shelley. I was like, yes. And then he's like, Leo Rush. Yes. Like every match, he was like, yes. Sure, I'll watch him wrestle Jericho. I don't care. Let it make it happen.
Like, even the Jericho matches will be good though, because Jericho at least, he knows what his role is in all the matches, so it'll still be fun.
Yeah, and so I was like, give me all these Clark Connor matches, and if you haven't seen it yet, go to our Insta story because it's there, or you can just go to Clark Connor's Instagram. I'm sure you can see the whole video, but I want all those matches to happen now. I didn't know I needed them, but now I do. So now they're out in the universe and I need them to happen. Yeah. Daza said atmosphere wise, Forbidden Door reminded him of One Night Stand. I've seen a lot of people say that, that the atmospheres were so intense, which just adds to the show. Like you've got the incredible matches and then you have the atmosphere, which just adds another thing. And it's always great when the crowds are into it and just add that extra like layer of amazing to it. Cause I mean, and I can even say that was like, and I've talked about it before because I went to All In. And so just being in that audience was incredible and just so I know how electric that felt. So I can only imagine that's probably what Forbidden Door felt like. And probably what One Night Stand felt like too, which makes it just makes it even more special when there's nights like that, which is really cool. And sometimes it comes across, and then obviously like the Forbidden Door stuff came across on TV really well. Like you could feel the atmosphere come through, which was really cool.
Awesome.
So I can only imagine. I can imagine because just knowing what it felt like on TV, like I said, I can only imagine what it was like in the arena.
I'm just like, it's happening again. Again, it's on the, I mean, one of the big complaints from Warner was that they don't have enough pay-per-views. Well, so this one's definitely going to be a thing as long as that relationship stays healthy. Which
Absolutely.
It seems, I mean, Kenny's going to be in the freaking Tokyo Dome on Wednesday.
Right. I know. It's insane. And we'll get to
the, we're gonna be filling in for Paul there coming up on the Dynamite show, which he shared on the show, so I'm allowed to say that out loud now. Is that I was like, oh, you guys are leaving us some pretty intense nights. Or you're leaving us some pretty intense. He's leaving us the January 11th, the LA show, and oh boy, holy cow! The first 2 weeks, we're like starting. It's like jumping right out of the gate.
Oh yeah.
This week.
Yep.
It's all like actually starting today. This Noah show sounds like it's fantastic. I feel like I need to track it down now.
Same. So Brad says they'll now have 8 pay-per-views, 4 AEW, 1 Forbidden Door, and 3 ROH. Sounds perfect. And even though they're not pay-per-views, they do have Battle of the Belts, which generally has at least. They had been having them on Saturday nights, but the first one this year will be like it was. It's going to be immediately after Rampage. So Friday night's going to be 2 hours of AEW programming because it'll be Rampage and then it'll be followed by Battle of the Belts, which is an interesting it's an interesting thing. But I think in this week it fits because so much is happening in wrestling that it makes, I mean, on the one hand, it maybe makes sense to make it you wait till Saturday night to let you catch your breath a little bit, but on the other hand, like it keeps the excitement up as well. And so I'm really looking forward to, and we don't even know what's going to be on Rampage yet. We don't know what's going to be on Battle of the Belts, and I'm already looking forward to both of them. So
we have Battle of the Belts, we have Winter is Coming, we have Blood and Guts, which I got to see last year, which I hope they make a thing into.
They did, what was it? Their version of Bash at the Beach. They did.
Yeah, well, yeah. So. Jericho Cruise. I may as well call it that anyway. That's back. And, and there's already like weird. They'll probably have some weird events around that. I mean,
and I saw. Oh, was that announced for Battle of the Belts? Okay, so thank you, Brad. I thought for some reason I thought that was happening not there, but that makes sense.
I think that's you know what? I think that was like right at the end of Rampage or something.
But I apparently missed the Battle of the Belts part. So yeah, Orange versus Kip is going to be fantastic, and Orange versus Trent Beretta was awesome. Like if you don't watch Rampage, go back and watch.
That was
Rampage. They opened the show with that.
That was a really good Rampage. That felt like the Rampages that used to be unmissable.
The last few have felt like that, I think. And
Dynamite's amping up again too. Maybe it's
right.
I you know what? Maybe it's the new year and the switch over. I mean, we are kind of like biologically predisposed to that sort of thing as human beings. Right. So, but also poor Tony, like the stuff with his mom and dealing with. I mean. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm a big critic. I think that as far as Tony needs to like be the big boss, not the friend boss. I think it's time for like the days of being friend boss are over, and that needs to change. But notwithstanding that, I think also on the other side, so much stuff got like dumped on him all at the same time, and maybe with that off. And him weathering that storm and these last 2 Dynamites doing well and all of that stuff, because that's important that they're healthy. That could be a good sign.
Yeah, and and he is, like he's said on the media calls, like he is listening to what the fans are saying about Rampage, and he's going back to older Rampages that were doing well. And he did point out, he did lose some stars for a while, and he just had to use the wrestlers he had, and he was trying to build up some other wrestlers, and and I've talked about it before. I cover Rampage for Daily DDT, and there were days that I was like, I enjoy the episode, but I don't know how I'm going to get 300 words out of that.
Yep.
And focusing on one thing. But then the last couple, I'm like, okay, well, which thing do I pick from to write about? Which is a nice problem to have. But so that means, and then poor Jon Moxley, who's never going to get a vacation ever again in his life, has been on like every Rampage for like the last month.
Although I gotta say, I really dug Renee's like pantsuit thing that she was wearing, that like gold. I don't know why that
fabulous.
I don't know why that struck me right. Renee's one of my favorite people.
I love her.
And I love that, like, this stuff, like, I'm not surprised at all, and I'm glad that she's working with professional sports outside of pro wrestling, where she's got that deal with is it the Bengals that they live in, or is that the Browns? Whichever one it is, whichever side of Ohio.
It's the Bengals. She's
whatever. I mean, they, I'm not really allowed to like them because Michigan and Ohio have like a beef with each other.
Yeah, I've heard.
So, but whatever. I mean, I'm not originally from here, so I have no beef with Ohio.
There you go.
I went to a Toledo Walleye game. Junior hockey was freaking great. Anyway. Junior hockey's fun too.
Oh, it sounds fun.
Well, it's sometimes junior hockey has some pro wrestling aspects to it in the way that they let the kids fight and stuff. So there's a little bit of pro wrestling in junior hockey. It's a lot of fun. But anyway, so we got show of the year. We've agreed it's Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
Almost everyone I know said it was Forbidden Door. Mm-hmm. Like anybody that
like as soon as Forbidden Door's over, they're like, show of the year, nothing's gonna top that. And they really, were correct. I mean,
it's been a while since there's been just such a blatant like this thing, but I think this was the year.
Right. Agreed. All
right. So we've got Wrestler of the Year next. We put Wrestler of the Year next. This is inarguably Jon Moxley for me, so there's no reason for me to like say, I don't need to.
So for Wrestler of the Year, I will get to, I mean, if you're looking purely at matches, I would put Speedball Bailey in that category, like really high. Because he's wrestled in Impact. He's held the X Division title in Impact. He's having killer matches all over the indie scene, and I know I missed a bunch of them, but I kept hearing just how phenomenal they were.
He wrestled the F out of wrestling this year.
Yeah, because this was his first. I think this was his first year back in the U.S. because he couldn't come for 5 years, and then he just came back and was like, "Did you miss me? I'm gonna wrestle every freaking person,
literally everybody."
Wrestle. And then my wife is gonna call commentary for a bunch of my matches. So I would have to say Speedball is up there, but Jon Moxley had so many incredible matches, not just in AEW. He was having matches in GCW, he's having matches on the indies, he was having matches in New Japan, and he was killing it. Then he carried the company on his back multiple times after coming back from rehab. Like he just came back in January, because I was going back through some of my favorite articles from this year, and one of the early ones was his return to Dynamite, and that was just about a year ago. And so like he started like the trajectory he had from coming from that and just bearing his soul on national TV about the things that he went through and his struggles, and Bully Ray saying that he should apologize because he's an idiot.
Bully Ray.
Like that whole thing. And then he just goes out and he's killing it, and I hate that he can't wrestle in GCW anymore, because I think we've talked about it before. There's AEW Jon Moxley, there's New Japan Jon Moxley, then there's GCW / Indie Jon Moxley, and he turns it up. Like if you think what you see in AEW is peak Jon Moxley, then I encourage you to go seek out other matches from other companies, because that is, and AEW Jon Moxley is fantastic. I love AEW Jon Moxley.
It's like sort of the Jon Moxley you think of when you think of Jon Moxley, because he is the ace of the company.
He is the ace of the company, and then he's killing it in other companies, and he's having these incredible matches, and he was doing really cool stuff in GCW, and I hate that he can't do that anymore, because I feel like you can't put Jon Moxley in a box, and you can't. He can do stuff in GCW. I mean, and he can do stuff in New Japan that he can't do in AEW, but I think limiting him in what he does on the indie scene, I think that ultimately hurts him, because that's just the type of person he is. I think he needs to have these matches, just especially because WWE took that away from him for so long and wouldn't let him be who he is. And so I think that it's I don't think it's like gonna backfire on them or anything like that. I just feel like it's a hindrance to who he is and what he needs to do just as a wrestler. And so I hope that maybe he can do some other indies. If he can't do GCW, then maybe he can go somewhere else. Maybe he can wrestle Tom Lawler again, because that was a really bloody match. But I have a feeling that that's why Tony didn't want him in GCW, was because of the bleeding he was doing, which is kind of unfortunate. But Jon Moxley is incredible, and
I would say keep your eyes on Europe in the coming months is one of the things that I would just put out into the universe as a sort of, I just keep your eyes on Europe. I have a feeling. And also, I mean, beyond, and then just as a counterpoint to that, it's like, yes, Also, though, I feel like some of this may be driven by him directly, and I feel like you got to grow up sometime, and maybe this is his time where he's feeling, because he's. If you look at what
from
he's
what I'm hearing,
doing,
from what I'm heard, this was all Tony Khan. Is what I heard.
really.
Yeah, that it was all Tony,
Because
and that
he's
Tony
doing a lot. If you look at what he's like been doing lately, he's doing a lot for the younger wrestlers that are on the show.
Yeah, and I think I mean, I think that's because he's kind of stepped
starting to
into that role. So I don't know that it's him growing up or maturing, but I don't think that part of him will ever leave. And so I mean, so I don't squashing that down and not allowing him to have that. I think I don't think it's gonna backfire.
We'll
I don't mean that
No,
it'll
I don't think
backfire
that. I
anything
don't
like
think
that.
that's how.
I just
I don't
feel
take
like
it that way. I just wonder if, like, maybe he's like.
I mean, maybe there is to an extent, maybe because of everything that's happened in the last year, maybe he has kind of changed that a little bit. I mean, that's certainly possible that, maybe he was like, okay, this, and maybe he's also like, this is the parameters that I have now. Like GCW is out. So this is what I can do now that I can't do that. I can do this. And so maybe that's kind of where, like, a compromise that he's come to with, who he is now and what he can provide as well. And then, of course, he's definitely stepped up a lot for this company, and I hope the man gets a damn vacation this year.
That would be nice. We got to read Daz's comment here.
Yes.
It says, start of Ambassador, I say Julia. And I've heard a lot of people make that argument. With Kyrie also.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Unfortunately, because, I mean, at least ours aren't limited to, like, they're like, greatest wrestler in the world, Seth Rollins. And I'm like, the world is bigger than WWE.
Yeah,
like, so.
It is. Yeah, and so,
but unfortunately, I don't watch enough. But and then Brad says Mox is my wrestler of the year, Speedball my indie, Masha is my U.S. women, Violence is Forever is my tag.
Yeah, Violence
Forever?
Violence is Forever is all over the indie scene. I've seen them a few times.
Their name,
they are fantastic. Like, yeah, they just won the DPW tag team titles last month. Like, what I missed that show. I mean, I was not at that show.
Get on the indie bus here.
Yeah, they were at. I saw them at some of the WrestleMania shows that we did. We watched the More Than Mania shows last year. They were on that because they've been all over the indie scenes. They're basically everywhere. They're all over the place. They're forever showing up. Daza said as runner up he would consider Samoa Joe and Claudio. Yeah, they had some very good matches. And Brad says that Samoa Joe feels rejuvenated and fresh. I would agree.
I think it was that spot that he listened to Kevin and James about where Orange did that dive out of there and he just walked away. And I think that was the moment that changed the So I just because Kevin Ely is constantly reminding everyone about my love of air fryers and my air fryer giving to the wrestling world.
Yes.
The suggestion of, and so I give them all the credit for that spot because clearly those guys listen to the boom because why wouldn't you? It's amazing. And, it definitely was one of the funniest things ever. It's like ever since that happened, that started to feel like, I like where they're going with Joe. Me too. I'm interested in this.
I am not really interested in Darby being the next. We've seen Darby as champion. I don't. The Sting promo on Rampage was excellent. It did not, or Dynamite, whichever night it was. But it does not make me more interested in that match. I've seen Darby as champion 3 times. I would like to see Samoa Joe wrestle somebody like Lee Moriarty, or especially on the night when Dynamite felt like they
more, right? Because
where Dynamite felt like they were pushing, like, obviously the Top Flight stuff, and they felt like they were pushing, like, not newer guys, but just it felt like it should have been so. Like, I thought maybe I thought Powerhouse was going to come out, and then Nikki thought maybe it was going to be Miro. I've seen Darby as champion 3 times. I don't need to.
It's not going to be Miro. No, it's not.
No, it's probably not going to be because he doesn't want to, I guess, lose on TV or whatever WWE brain he still has. He has some WWE brain.
He really sure does.
He does. But that, if that's how he's going to be, then that's how he's going to be. That's on him.
You, bro.
Yeah, that's on you. So Brad says that Violence Since Forever just won the IWTV tag titles last night. They're the first champions, and they've held up to 6 or 7 tag titles at a time, like their Ultimo Dragon. And they've each held 7 singles gold. So yeah, those guys are forever killing it. Like it feels like I see their names on something like every day. It feels like they're really cool. So
new stuff.
And I'm actually speaking of DPW, DPW is coming back already. They're coming back January the 14th. Which we didn't think they were coming back to the Charlotte area so quickly. I don't know if they haven't. They've only announced 1 match so far. No, is it 2 matches? Can't remember now. But they haven't. I would like so. Hopefully, Violence is Forever will be on that show because they weren't on the show that I was at. So I'm looking forward to seeing them live. But yes, and also speaking of Masha, real quick, I saw that she challenged Sami Callihan last night for a death match. I was like,
well, all right then.
Yeah, and then Sami posted a picture of them, and I guess it's from when he met her as a fan. And she was saying, hold on, Brad. Masha was saying that, or Sami said something about wrestling. I forget now. I can't remember the way Sami worded it, but Masha was like, I'm going to show you what it's like to wrestle your mirror. And I was like, oh yeah,
boy.
So I was like, that's going to be awesome. Brad says that Violence Since Forever also called out FTR at the end of the show after they won the titles. Well, that's interesting, especially because FTR just dropped the AAA tag team titles. They dropped it to Dragon Lee and Dralistico, who then immediately vacated the titles because Dragon Lee is going to WWE this month.
Thank you.
So AAA doing AAA things. Just
Jesus,
doing whatever.
What?
They just are in their own little world. So yeah, FTR. That would be an interesting match. That would be very interesting. I wonder where they would do. Well, I guess they're in IWTV. I mean, not in IWTV, but yeah. So I guess that's where that would happen.
I guess that the prevailing wisdom is that they're going to drop the titles at WrestleKingdom. Or I wouldn't let me rephrase. Prevailing wisdom is the wrong way of putting it. The opinion seems to be that they're probably going to be dropping those titles, but I don't know. Kato can swerve.
It seems like it. And then it'll be interesting to see because there's rumors that they're headed back to WWE.
Yeah, I know that they were. There's a lot.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, never say never, especially with what we've seen, especially with the way Triple H has been bringing people back. But
look at the
and they kind of, I mean, when they came into AEW, and AEW said, like, I mean, when they came into AEW, they basically were like, we want to wrestle every tag team, we want to hold all these titles, and they made it seem like AEW was just a stop on their tour of where all they're going. So it wouldn't surprise me if they go back to WWE. But I don't think them dropping the title necessarily means that they are. So Brad says that he thinks FTR will win at WrestleKingdom, but lose either the next night to Aussie Open at New Year's Dash or later in the month. Aussie Open should be the champions.
Yeah.
Just Aussie Open. I can't believe Aussie Open does not have a match at WrestleKingdom after the year they've had. I mean, not that New Year's Dash is anything to like scoff at, because those shows are always fun and they generally set up where we're going for the next month or two. And
they wrestled at Royal Quest. Aussie Open and FTR had that banger at Royal Quest that was like,
I still have not seen that show, but I've heard very good things about it. And I heard a lot about that match in particular.
One of my friend was at the show, so it was like one of his matches of the year. Like
I got to see Aussie Open win the strong titles when High Alert was here in Charlotte. The finals were at that show, and they beat Christopher Daniels, and as Mike Gilbert graciously gave me the nickname Yummy Mora.
That was hilarious. Those guys. Those guys over at the Brace for Impact show. Probably the funniest. One of my late entry moments of the year was Mike stream bombing Jeff and Paul this past week on the Dynamite show. He just like showed up in there because we can kind of bounce in and out of each other's thing here. And
right.
I'm like, wait, because I started I hear Mike's voice and I'm like, wait, did they introduce? And it's like, oh no, he totally just jumped on in there. So it was great.
That's incredible.
It was fantastic.
That's great.
So Mike did a run-in on the Dynamite show this week. So so much good stuff on the they did their Boom Goes the Dynamite. They did their
second annual Hook Awards.
Yeah, their second annual Hook
Which
Awards.
I need to listen to. That's on my list of things to get to.
And that's on the Fight Game Media Network Plus. And that's Patreon, and that's only $5 a month.
Yes,
and it's well
worth your
$5. Or you can do what I do, which is to buy the annual subscription because it's cheaper if you can afford it.
That works too.
Because I'm that person. So if you're looking for a deal, you can pay us in advance, and you'll still get the same amazing content. And that was an excellent podcast. Their awards were really, really fun.
Yeah, I've got to go back and listen to it. I wanted to hear what they had to say. Yeah. I can imagine.
Too much. Y'all are too much. Just too much. But $5 is not too much to pay for you.
No, if you can spare the $5, we recommend it for sure.
Highly. And if you can't, then just go subscribe to our YouTube channel and you can at least listen to the clips, and that helps us.
Yeah, and if you're unsure about the $5, then we recommend definitely going to the YouTube because there are so many clips of all of the shows are there, and so you can get a feel for what's up there and what type of content you'll be getting for $5. And so there's a ton of content on there. So we definitely recommend that, and please subscribe to YouTube because that's where you find us. I was going to say exclusively. We have audio now, but you'll see our live streams. Our live streams are exclusive, and so if you want to watch live and come hang out in the chat like Brad and Daz are doing,
what we have to say first, because you got to wait until Monday morning.
Yes,
if you want to. And you don't get to see my amazing site gimmicks.
Exactly. And you never know what kind of hat Mel is going to surprise us with. And you don't get to see our very cool opening like we had today.
Yeah, which was brand new and awesome. Thanks to Garrett. Happy New Year.
We appreciate it.
All right. We're on to the next thing, which is, so we got our Wrestler of the Year. Was that
yeah.
Our Wrestler of the Year. We were satisfied with Jon Moxley.
Yeah.
The Fight Game Media Network is really rooting for you to get that vacay this year, brother. A lot of us on the network. We
get it soon.
Sooner
rather than later, I hope. And I hope it's a nice long vacation too. Not like one of these little week and a half things. Like
being the best.
I think he needs longer than his 6 weeks now. He's probably up to like 10 weeks by now.
He's got to be he's definitely earned more by now. All right.
Sure.
All right. So we put this in here as the match of the year. And Sam that probably has like 38,628.
That sounds pretty accurate.
And I say that because you watch so much more, even than most. I mean, a lot of people watch a lot of it, but you watch a lot of the indie stuff and you cover a lot of the indie stuff, so you end up watching a lot of other stuff besides just the main stuff.
Right.
So,
and I still wish I watched more indie stuff because I know that I miss so much, and I see clips of things, and
you're one person.
I know.
I mean, I think last year we basically the network collectively agreed that you were the watcher of the weekend for WrestleMania weekend.
And I'm planning to do it again this year.
I know.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you that now. I'm planning to watch, and you will probably see some Violence is Forever.
I might just do the thing where I do the Rumble to WrestleMania.
That's fine.
I skipped it.
Hey, that works.
That is kind of the way that that's kind of the way that we were watching WWE is every year we would go Rumble to Mania just because that's the best
That's
stuff.
probably what I'll do too. I'll probably watch the Rumble and then
I won't watch
Mania.
I won't be I won't be watching Raw or anything. It's regularly. I'll be watching
sometimes
the Hulu
I do, and then I don't. It just kind of depends. And
I like that Hulu thing that Garrett hypes.
Yeah.
That thing is pretty good, and it covers just about everything you need.
Yeah.
But I mean, just because it's always interesting to see what's going on in the world. And Mania is such a big deal.
I assume like at the Women's Royal Rumble, I'm sure that's where Chelsea Green's gonna debut or re-debut, I guess I should say. I'm sure
if we hadn't been watching SmackDown this week, we wouldn't have gotten to see that glorious destruction of Ronda Rousey by Charlotte
I had
Flair.
only flipped it over there just because I was like, well,
I'm so glad you saw it.
Yeah, I was like, well, we'll just see. I was like, I'm sure because I thought Kevin Owens was going to turn on John Cena and then that was going to set up the match for WrestleMania. Or if he's wrestling Austin Theory, I thought Austin Theory would show up. So I was like, so that's the main reason. And I was like, well, I'll check that out. And then, so we were flipping back and forth because we weren't really watching. And that Ronda match was really long, the one with Raquel. And then, so we flipped it and I was like, why Charlotte? We were both like, why Charlotte in the ring? Because we missed her actual entrance. But
you did? Oh, man.
Saw her.
Yeah.
I saw she was just in the ring and I was like, where did Charlotte come from? And then I heard Ronda say SummerSlam instead of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It's like Ronda.
She's...
And then I saw her. She's like, no, I'm challenging you tonight. And then she beat her in like 15 seconds. And it was fantastic. I was like, I don't watch WWE enough anymore to be mad that Charlotte automatically gets the title when she comes back. And I heard most of my timeline was pretty happy because they were just glad that Ronda wasn't the champion anymore. They were just
Ronda's
like,
not, I think she just, I don't know. She's just not.
There's
whatever. I mean,
I'm not a fan.
I'm so glad like that.
I'm not a fan of her as a person. I do not care about her.
It's exactly. I just don't care about her. I have
and I've heard like the SmackDown women's division has been struggling really bad for a while, and it seems like Charlotte is the kickstart that they needed for this division. But I mean, of course, they have to have the booking to follow it up. You can't just have the big name come back and then not build up around it, which has been an issue with WWE for a really long time, with especially when it comes to booking their women. And from what I hear, NXT books their women much better. There's multiple titles. There's a lot of non-title stuff being done in the background. There's character development, all the things that NXT should be doing,
right?
But also that your main roster should be doing, especially if Triple H is supposed to make everything better, but the women are still.
That's it, right? He fixed everything,
right? That's what I had heard.
That's what they keep telling me.
And then if you obviously this would be back in the summertime, but like if you're trying to get Sasha Banks to come back to your company, then maybe you should book the women's tag team division properly, because that's a big part of why she left. But
well, what do I know? Have to go to the Tokyo Dome. Bummer. Poor Sasha.
That just made me laugh a lot.
I'm sorry, poor Mercedes.
I know, I have to. And then it dawned on me the other day that if she comes to AEW, which she probably will, and she's Mercedes Moné, then there's going to be 2 Mercedes M's like they used to do in school. They would be like, I was always Samantha S because I was in elementary school all like with another Samantha in my classes. And so that's how they always, and so that's part of the reason I started going by Sam was because there were both of us. And then I was like, oh, so in my tweets and in my articles, I guess I'm just going to have to call them by the last name because yes. So
yep. I also, I believe there were 4 people with my first
I can imagine.
And so even in my class there were 2 others with my full name. So I can imagine. Was like just in my class, not like it was madness. Mm-hmm. All kinds of madness. So I like Mel. Mel is my favorite.
Yes,
that's the best one I've ever gone by. So.
Daza asks if we think Mercedes is the mystery partner on the 6th. That's actually the 11th, and we will get to what we're looking forward to in 2023. But I'm gonna just go ahead and answer your question and say yes.
Yes,
because if it's not, it better be Trinity, because there is no other person that it could be.
I didn't even think of that.
That's like, because you can't.
That's right. She's just out there
with the buildup that they've had if it's not Mercedes, then I think the only other person it could be, and they're not have a meltdown, which people will still have meltdowns if it's not Mercedes, it's gotta be Trinity.
And
I don't think it's gonna be Trinity, but if it's not Mercedes, that's the only possible person that would be acceptable, I think, for most wrestling fans at this point.
I didn't even think of that. That's excellent. We didn't even come up with a match of the year. We had a whole separate conversation.
Yeah, but we will go back to our match of the year, but I will let you go first.
Okay. Well, my match of the year was actually the Orange Cassidy Will Ospreay match at Forbidden Door, because it was so good, with the Moxley Tanahashi main event being right on its heels, just merely because I've never been that mesmerized. We were all chanting for everyone. It was very weird. Yeah, it was a very excellent. But I mean, my match on pure people. I went with my just heart, gut, whatever, I loved, and I just loved that match. I really did. Orange Cassidy, he can really wrestle. He put on a good show,
which makes the Orange Cassidy stuff work even better, because he can actually. Which generally, I mean, most comedic wrestlers can actually go, which helps with because I can't. That's what I've heard people say. There's nothing harder than being a comedic wrestler, because you have to always keep your fans entertained. You've always got to be on, basically, and you have to be able to have good matches so that people want to stay invested in what you're doing. And I think I agree with that statement, that's probably, I don't know that there's anything harder than a comedic wrestler.
With my indie, and I've got an indie side one that I really, I mean, well, I've got two little honorable mentions.
Okay.
Because I know that your list is going to be just like this too. So same thing as that.
Yes.
I had to give a shout out to that Buddy Matthews Renderito match from March 12th.
Yeah. On Strong?
I had it in the one on Strong, the one that both of us, I was it had that. I actually, I think that hopefully my friend will go back and check it out. It just was so much better than it had any right to be.
That was one of those matches that we were when you see it on paper, oh, that should be a pretty good one.
Fine.
Yeah, and then they just like you said, it was way better than it had any right to be.
They went to
which happens a lot on Strong.
Yes,
which we've talked about a lot.
That was a big show match on Strong. And it was wonderful. And I'm so glad that Ren Narita is wrestling on
Me too.
Oh my god. He's going to be good.
Yeah.
But I mean, that I kind of had to give a shout out to that one, because it felt like
that was a really good one.
Really good stuff. So, all right. I'm going to let you go, because I'm going to agree with a bunch of yours. Anyway.
Before I even get to match of the year, I noticed I was looking to see, because the conversation came up actually in Daily DDT, because we were doing the end of year, the writers were voting on different things, and he was talking about two wrestlers and there were two wrestlers and that had match of the year candidates in two companies, and it was Cody Rhodes and Ospreay, I think is who he had on the Daily DDT matches of the year. And so I was looking at mine, because when we guessed, he was like, who could it be? And I was like, was it Speedball and Moxley? And he was like, no. He was like, I didn't see those matches. I was like, fair enough.
I didn't see all of Speedballs, because he wrestled a freaking lot.
Speedball, I was surprised Speedball is only on my list twice, but I think it's because I forgot to go back and write stuff down. I think is what it was. But I had actually there were actually two people that were tied. I have Filthy Tom with 3 matches of the year plus an honorable mention match. And then I had Yuta with 2 matches of the year, 1 dark match of the year, and 1 honorable mention of the year. So I guess technically that would make him 3, since dark is part of AEW. So I guess that's how that would work out. And then I had Mox at 2 and an honorable mention. I had Takeshita at 2 and an honorable mention. I had Gresham with 2 match of the years. I had Lee Moriarty with 2 match of the years plus an honorable mention. What was that?
No, I like this. This is better.
Yeah, and then I also had Okada 2 matches of the year, Danielson 1 match of the year, 2 honorable mentions, but I guess they could technically all be 3 matches of the year. And then So I have a really hard time just picking one match, but I think the match that's two of the matches that stood out to me the most, and I guess I would technically make them my match of the year if I had to.
Have to.
If I absolutely have to. I would say Jon Moxley versus Filthy Tom at Defy Wrestling in February. That was did I write the show name down? Oh no, that was not in February. I'm sorry, that was April. It was at Wild Ones was the name of the show. The match was incredible. It was violent. It was the bloodiest match I think I've ever seen Jon Moxley in, which is saying a lot. Filthy Tom was bloody as hell. It wasn't even, I mean, it was a match, but it was just a fight. It was just real. There's just two dudes that just wanted to beat the crap out of each other. And that's exactly what happened. And it was an amazing match. And so I think that match sticks out a lot to me. So I would say that one. And then probably Lee Moriarty versus Takeshita at Prestige Wrestling. That was back in June, and that match they ended up making free on because I had it at the time. I had an IWTV subscription, so I watched it live when it happened, and then they made it because there were so many people talking about it. They made it free on YouTube a couple months or a couple weeks later, and then I saw a couple weeks ago that the fans voted that as match of the year for Prestige, and and that's a match that I could see. Like I would like to see that happen in AEW at some point when these two get even.
I remember that's how I saw it, was because they made it free.
Yeah, and so I mean, there's plenty of other matches that I can choose from. I mean, there was Fred Rosser versus Tom Lawler was phenomenal. It was for the NJPW Strong title, which Fred Rosser ultimately won. Like that match, that was another really bloody match.
Jonah beating Okada.
That's on my match of the year list. I've got Okada versus Tom Lawler on there. I've got Juice versus Finley was from G1 was phenomenal. I thought that was a really fantastic match. I mean, there's Shingo and Ospreay. Kairi versus Mayu Iwatani at Crossover was probably my favorite women's match of the year. Speedball versus Josh Alexander was incredible. They nearly went Broadway. I think they were like 2 minutes shy technically of being Broadway, but people talked about it so much that they made it free the next day at noon on YouTube. And so if you have not seen it, I recommend taking an hour of your time and just go watch it I watched it on TV on my DVR. So luckily I could fast forward through the commercial breaks, but it's on YouTube it's commercial free, which makes it even better because you don't have to have the stops in the commercial breaks, which makes it a little harder to kind of stay in like what you're watching. So I would definitely recommend going back and watching that. But and then
I'm pop up Daz's. Yeah. This Daza says the trouble I find is that matches are so incredibly strong from week to week. I find it hard to keep track of even incredible matches of.
Oh yeah.
You're so right.
There's too much. That's why I have to keep them in my notes because I would just forget.
This is the first year I've had, and the effort was there. I made a wrestling journal, everyone. I have one. It's paper. I'm old school. I do pen and paper. I like the old school. I love it. I should put my next hat will have a little press card in it. That's old school. And it's definitely we are rolling in awesome.
Yeah, I'm just like scanning down my list, and like these are matches, honorable mention matches that could be match of the year matches, and I'm sure probably were for some people. Like my first honorable mention is Wheeler Yuta versus Bryan Danielson on Dynamite.
Great.
And then there's Jay White versus Alex Shelley, Ray Phoenix versus Kyle O'Reilly.
Dude, I saw Nick Wayne and Alex Shelley wrestle each other at that GCW show, and that was one of the best matches I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I can imagine. And so
that kid's, oh my god! And he's like,
Daza's gonna keep a journal too. Okay, so then we're all gonna meet back here next year.
Next year at this time.
We'll check Put that in your calendar.
I wanted to give Brad a chance.
Yeah, I was gonna go back to that too. Yeah,
real quick here.
Yeah.
Oh, you stop doing that.
sorry.
Mox first time was amazing, as was Swerve versus Nick Wayne from Defy. Yeah.
that was,
and they were, I mean, for them, that's home. So that makes
and then you have Nick Wayne, who is doing things at 17 that he shouldn't be doing. I did not see. I don't think I saw Nick Wayne versus Will Ospreay. I think I forgot to go back and watch that, but I heard like match of the year stuff.
Oh no, I saw that. It was amazing. It was amazing. That's right. I did watch that one.
I must have forgotten to go back and watch that one, but yeah, it and then, like I said, there's just matches on here like Lee Moriarty versus Jonathan Gresham at Fyter Fest, Yano versus Lawler, obviously. That's there's just so much good shit out there. Daza said this is something that annoys me about fans today. The quality of matches everywhere is so great. I grew up on squash matches every week, so we are spoiled. We are spoiled, and I'm glad that we are.
That's why all of the whiners on the toxic side of wrestling Twitter can stay on their side of wrestling Twitter, and we can stay on ours.
Brad said it's
like wrestling Twitter is big enough for everyone.
That's right. I will just ignore a bunch of you.
Yep.
Brad said it was like watching Will versus a young Will. I heard that comparison, definitely.
That's perfect.
And then and I will say I did have actually 2 WWE matches on my honorable mentions. I had Walter versus Sheamus at Clash at the Castle.
Oh.
And I also had Carmelo versus Ricochet at Worlds Collide. And I apparently did not write the ladder match down, but the ladder match at Worlds Collide was, I think it was Worlds Collide, or was that a takeover? I can't remember right off the top of my head, but that ladder match, I think it was Worlds Collide, because that's one of the shows that I watched all the way through, and that was a phenomenal match.
Heard that match was good.
It was very good. And then just real quick, I won't go through all of these, but like even just on the like Dark and Elevation matches, again, how spoiled we are. There's YouTube matches for free and because people don't they sleep on Dark and Elevation. But there's some really good shit that happens over there, like Penta versus Wheeler Yuta. Happened January 25th last year.
Yeah, nice.
Joey Janela and Lee Moriarty had a really good match before he left. Here Fox and Dante Martin. That's also where Athena versus Jody Threat happened and made the internet mad. And then it turned Athena into the Athena we see right now, who is now the ROH Women's Champion. So it worked out. But that was really good. And then we got 2 really quick matches like right at the end of the year that they just put on in there. It's Workhorseman versus Claudio and Yuta from Elevation on December the 20th. I would recommend you going out of your way to go back and watch that, especially because I'm hoping Workhorseman's going to get more TV time, especially when ROH or streaming time, since ROH will not be on TV. But I'm hoping they get some more action over there. And then Takesha and Kazarian had a banger on Elevation on I wrote that's not. I don't think. Oh yeah, it was December the 26th. Yeah, it was the day after Christmas.
Nice.
They had a banger. And Kazarian, I just want to talk about him real quick. Kazarian is having incredible matches at 50 years old, and he's having some of the best matches of his career, which is saying something because Kaz has been good for so long. Just even as a tag team, but this man is killing it, and he's just he doesn't wrestle often, but when he does, like I have not got to see his match with Josh Alexander because Impact had been putting, or Access had been putting up some of the pay-per-views on Impact like 6 weeks later, and for whatever reason it either deleted itself or it didn't record in the first place. And so I'll have to subscribe to Impact Plus to be able to watch it, and I just ran out of time because I have heard that was a really phenomenal match, and I think they wrestled like 40 minutes. And Josiah, I believe that is the match that Josiah said was the best match of Kazarian's career, which is saying something.
Wow. So that is saying a lot.
I need to go try to find that. Daza said Hita versus Shida is worthy of a mention. Absolutely. That match, that was on my match of the year candidate list.
I'm so glad they had that match.
Yeah. It was, me too. That's the type of matches that AEW should be having for their women.
Yeah.
Of course, not everybody is at Shida and Hater's levels.
Yeah.
But those are the type of matches.
But that's a start for people to be at that level, is having those two people fighting each other. Other people are going to start wrestling those two, and maybe we can get something going.
Right. And that's a TV match. Like that wasn't even a pay-per-view match. Like these women were putting on that type of match for free.
Big,
on TV.
big on hater. Big on hater right
me
now.
too. And I love Sheeta, and so I
definitely.
am really excited to see where that goes, which I guess will bring us right into our next category. Wait a minute. I think I backed out of my list by mistake.
That's okay. What are we looking forward to in 23?
No, wait. Before that one, I added one more thing. Oh, wait. No, yep, you're right. I'm sorry. I thought I swapped them. You know, wait, should we do that? What we're looking forward to, or should we do WrestleKingdom instead?
Let's do WrestleKingdom first.
Okay, because that'll kind of feed. I think that'll feed into 2023
will
because that is what we're looking forward to.
Well, let's face it. It's on 4/23, so it's this one's Wednesday.
Agreed, Daza, that's what haters should have been doing from the beginning. 100% agree. So so WrestleKingdom is this Wednesday, and I'm sure, are you going to be watching it live?
It's 1:00 in the morning, and I know you stay up late, and
I'm doing what we do is we take a nap, basically. Well, I'll have to stay up till at least 10 on Monday because I cover stuff for SC Scoops on Monday nights from 8 to 10. So once that's done, I will take a nap until about 2 a.m. Then I will, and then that's when like the pre stuff is, and I think that's when they do like the not the battle. They don't call it battle royal. They call it something else. I can't remember.
The Rambo.
Yes, the Rambo. So I'm trying to decide if I'm going to use that as an extra hour. I want to see it. And so I'm like, will I go back and watch it though? Or should I just go ahead and watch it live? I probably should watch it live because I may not go back and watch it. But yeah, so I'll be watching live, and that's the one good thing about working from home is I don't have to see anybody. I don't have to get dressed. Nobody will know except the people watching the show right now.
Garrett and the boys are invading Dave's.
And then...
So I know that they're watching live. So the most important thing I think for me will be to stay the F off of social media.
Yeah, because
until I'm done.
So the one year that Nikki and I decided to not watch live and stay off of social media was when the Capitol insurrection happened.
Oh, gee.
So we were not on Twitter because we didn't stay up and watch WrestleKingdom. And then my friends were like, are you seeing what's happening? And I was like, no, I'm not on social media. And then I got on social media and I was like, okay, well, so now I'm watching this and trying to avoid spoilers because, you know, Twitter will show you things from like 12 hours ago.
Yeah.
And so I was like it was, and it's not as fun to not watch live. That's part of the thing.
I'll see. I mean, it's I completely hard for me because of I have extenuating circumstances.
Sure, you do. Exactly. So I completely, if you do not watch it,
it sucks, but it's like so hard for me to stay up.
Try to stay out of Slack too, I would imagine.
Oh no, I won't go anywhere near any.
I'm sure they'll be chatting in there. If I need you, I'll just message you directly.
Exactly. It's hard. It's hard not to, knowing that just about everyone is, and I'm so excited for it.
Yeah. Brad's
really
gonna watch when Kathy
excited.
gets picked up for school.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that day is going to be super long for me because it's WrestleKingdom, and so it will end like if it ends at like 7, I'll get like a little nap in for like
maybe
an hour.
I'll get up like what is that? It's a Wednesday. Maybe I'll get up with Bob because he usually opens that day and he's up like super early and just start it.
You could, that would work. And then I will work, and then I will I will try to take a nap after work for like maybe an hour and a half or so. Then I have to cover Dynamite for SC Scoops. Yeah. So Wednesday is going to be a really long day. And Nikki has physical therapy in the middle of all of that. And she was like, damn, I was not paying attention to my schedule. Because I asked her, I was like, hey, do you have physical therapy on Wednesday? And she was like, why? I was like, because WrestleKingdom is that day. And she was like, well, it's at like 2:45. So it's like, she's like, I wasn't thinking about it. I was just like, they were telling me they weren't giving her dates. They were just like, here's when we'll do this. And so, yeah, we played ourselves a little bit, but you know, we've done it before where we've stayed up and then I've worked and then I didn't have Dynamite to cover afterwards. So Wednesday will be a lot of fun. And so, since I will be watching WrestleKingdom live, what I am looking forward to, obviously, is probably what most people are looking forward to, and that is the return of Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
To New Japan.
Correct.
Des said, or Paul said, don't forget, whenever both of you have to do the Dynamite show on the 11th and 18th with Jeff.
Oh, we know.
Yeah, we talked about that already.
We know.
We'll be here.
We'll be ready.
We will be ready.
We are always ready.
So there's a lot of wrestling.
Sam and I don't have to travel together, but we choose to because we like to, because we like each other.
True. It's true.
So it is what it is. So,
but yeah, so Kitty.
I'm also looking forward to that Ren Arena Zach match, though.
That's gonna be awesome.
I'm excited
about that. And then I'm excited about Okada and Jay White. I know
me too.
Some people aren't, and I don't know why, because I've heard some stuff about, I guess some people aren't interested in Jay, which I know some people don't watch Strong. We've talked about that. But if you don't watch Strong, you've missed a lot of, like, the US of J stuff he did last summer was fantastic. Like, he had incredible matches during that run that a lot of people slept on. And so I think it's hard to.
He's a really smart wrestler too. It's like he knows where he's supposed to be, and he's like such a good heel. He's such a dick. He is.
He's
my god.
He's probably my favorite heel. And I do like
MJF
a lot, but I think Jay is a different type of heel.
Yeah.
Jay doesn't
like him doing the thing with the audience through this whole thing.
Just like, haha, you can't cheer for me. You have to be quiet. I can be loud, but you can't. Like that, playing into that, I think was really smart.
Amazing.
And then he is the US of J. What was his other one?
He sold out Madison Square Garden.
He did, but there was another J. He did another play on his name, and then there was he did
the Switchblade era.
He did the come to Jesus that he was doing. There was another, it was not Good Morning. What was that? There was another J one that he was doing another play on his name that was just really funny, and I loved it. And Brad said, I'm a big Jay White guy. I think him being out of New Japan proper for so long has hurt the build, and Okada feels like he's like going back to the status quo as amazing as he is. I can see that. I can see that, and I do think it maybe hurt the build, but I guess
I've seen them wrestle a lot, so I mean, I've like the 2 times I've seen Okada live, he has been wrestling Jay.
Thank you, Brad. That's what it was. The Jay show. I knew it was a reference to a morning show, and I could not remember.
Pretty good.
Thank you. Yes. So
anybody that can work their name into that many different, I'm a Portmanteau fan. I'm very big on that. So you just keep that right up. I love watching. He's one of the people that like helped me realize watching him. I watched him and Ospreay wrestle at an anniversary show one of my like early years as a New Japan subscriber. And it just like suddenly, it was like I had this like revelation. I was like, oh my gosh, I totally get wrestling all of a sudden. It was like I had all this information, and I read a lot of wrestling history, and I do enjoy like the bios and stuff, not the people passing away, but Dave does an amazing job of doing the bios about people. Even the Vince bio, actually, when Vince just stepped down, that was, that was unmissable.
It was
like
really good.
Unmissable reading. He does such a good job with that sort of stuff. But then like I was watching this and I was just like, God, I love that. And then once you hit that point, I think if you can't that person doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And I am pro Jay White. I will never. I have always no problem with him.
I'm always pro Jay White, and I think heel Jay White is incredible. Like some of the heel work he was doing a couple years ago when people thought he was going to WWE, and I was like, that's not what he said. He said he's taking time off because he hasn't been home in 2 years. Yeah, but I was like, he's playing these people like a fiddle. But even leading up to that, like that was some of his best heel work. But yeah, so I get like Brad makes some very valid points, and I totally get it.
Yeah, totally.
And then real quick, I will go back to Daza said the same thing that I was gonna say, that I'm looking forward to whatever Mercedes is doing. And I'll be excited to know if it's Mercedes Moné, so I can stop saying that maybe that's what it is. I don't think it will be any variation of Sasha Banks. I don't think she will be allowed to, because somebody has mentioned Mercedes Banks. I don't think she'll be allowed to use it, and B, I don't think she wants to use it. I think she wants to leave WWE behind her, and I think she wants to start all over. So I don't see her using that. But I really am interested in Kairi versus Tam Nakano. I'm not super familiar with Tam, but I've heard really great things about her. And so I'm really looking forward to getting to see her. And Kairi versus, I always like Kairi. Kairi always has really great matches, and I loved her match with Mayu. So I'm interested to see, especially what they do here with what we assume is going to be Mercedes challenging Kairi for the title. I don't think Kairi drops the title super early, but it will be really interesting to see what she does, especially because she has multiple New Japan dates booked. I'm hoping she'll be on the strong. She potentially could be on some of the strong shows they do here. So I'm really interested to see. And now it's January the 1st, so she's open for bookings. She will now take them. So that's very exciting news. And so that's really cool. And then so Paul says that the first 2 weeks of this month could have more interesting things happening in wrestling than happened in a lot of whole years from 2002 to 2014.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and one other match before we move on to the next thing is I'm also looking forward to Ishimori versus Wado versus Haramu versus Despy. I love the IWGP Junior stuff. And I'm a fan. Like Haramu, of those four, Haramu is my favorite, but I am a fan of all of them, and so I'm looking forward to that because they always show out, especially at WrestleKingdom. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, it's the Tokyo Dome. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So Paul agrees with Darren. The second biggest thing I'm looking forward to on that show, and the third is Kenny and the Will match. Yeah. So I think we're all pretty much on the same page with. I'm just looking forward to WrestleKingdom in general. I know some people were kind of not people I've seen, on Twitter and things like that were not happy with the card, or they didn't think it was big enough or whatever. But I think
I guess I dismiss those people because
it's WrestleKingdom, and so I think it will deliver. I always get at least one match of the year on my list.
Oh yeah,
WrestleKingdom, sometimes two.
Plus we get a real New Year's Dash this year.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Day. That I will not watch live, but I will definitely go back and watch it the next, probably later that evening. So I'm really looking forward to that. Is there anything else you're looking forward to at WrestleKingdom?
Yeah, that's covered.
Okay. So we will. There's a comment that I will add to this, but I will wait till we get to that.
Okay.
So the next category. So now that we've covered all of that, what are you looking forward to for 2023?
I am looking forward to Indoor 2, obviously, and you're gonna stump for that. I'm interested in where it's gonna be. I'm interested in what it's gonna look like. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in seeing where MJF goes as you've got the belt now.
Yep.
You got your big boy pants. You get that. You found the hottest girl in Denver or wherever the heck they were. I mean, it's time. Like you're the first pillar with the belt. Well, I mean, I guess Hangman was a pillar. But
if they're considering the four pillars that they were pushing, then yeah, MJF would be the first one with the big boy title.
So I'm interested.
And we talked about like when he first won, like the feuds that we want to see. Like I want to see him rekindle the stuff with Jack Perry, especially this version of Jungle Boy, because he is by himself. He is solo. It looks like he's doing some stuff with Hook for in the interim, which I think could be fun. But I really, and then of course they're gonna have to do MJF versus Wardlow at some point. It has to happen. And so I'm
they need to do that story.
So that'll happen at some point as well, I think. So yeah, I heard Dez said that the Cruiserweight Classic, and I have heard that they're bringing that back. I loved the Cruiserweight Classic, and I love the Cruiserweights, but they did them dirty. They treated them like they didn't matter once even being on Raw. They didn't give a shit about them. They certainly didn't care about them on 205 Live, and I will die on the hill that 205 Live for 2 years was the best wrestling WWE was putting on.
Yeah, oh yeah. No,
with storylines, the matches, all of it.
Like, I completely agree with you.
Yeah, and so I don't.
No argument here.
I don't trust Triple H to do any better with them. I think the Cruiserweight Classic is kind of him just flexing on who he can potentially sign that that AEW hasn't signed. And so I don't think his motives are to rebuild the Cruiserweight division. I mean, he could prove me wrong, which I would love. Prove me wrong, Triple H.
Prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong.
But you probably won't.
Yeah, you probably won't. And so let me go back and find this.
Yeah, go back to your.
No, I'll find the comment in just a second. So, what else, is there anything else that you're looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to this momentum with Dynamite continuing, and that there continues to be like awesome new wrestling. I'm hoping to see maybe some of the Strong tapings come my way to the middle of the country. We'll see what happens there
back next year.
And I'm hoping, and I think that this will happen, is like I'm looking forward to a resurgence of New Japan. I think that this could finally, maybe they'll.
Yeah, because they've been putting on some really good shows, but a lot of people are missing them because they're not.
They need to do the crowd thing. Obviously, yes, it's your country and you can do what you want with it, and obviously, and all those things. But I mean, we know full well that there are people that are holding back from like the American promotions going to Japan because they want to be in front of cheering crowds, and I don't blame them because I would be
I can understand that. I can understand that. I mean, that's not a deal breaker. Like, I understand, like, as a wrestler, of course you want to hear those cheers, but it doesn't bother me that fans aren't cheering. Like, I'm not tuning in for crowd noise. So it doesn't,
but it does bother me. It does.
It definitely adds to it. Like, I completely get that. And I know the wrestlers miss it. And I know, especially because a lot of them have come, they've gone to the UK or they've come to America and they've wrestled and they got to hear the cheering again. Then they go back to Japan and it's very limited. So I completely get that, like, especially from a wrestler standpoint of how hard that must be. So I definitely get that for sure. I think New Japan is on the cusp of being what it was a few years ago.
On its way back.
For sure. And so I guess on top of so for what I'm looking forward to, definitely whatever Mercedes does, wherever she goes, she feels like she is on the cusp of something very big and very important not in Japan and in American wrestling, just in women's wrestling in general. Like, I'm really looking forward to seeing, not to put like all this pressure on her, but I feel like she can deliver a lot. And then that kind of ties into women's wrestling in general. Raphael over at Daily DDT wrote a really good article, and I don't think I retweeted it. I actually used it in an article I was writing. That's how I wrote it. So I will post it. But he was talking about how women's wrestling seems like it's on the cusp of being what it should have already been. There's just with all the promotions, with American wrestling, Japanese wrestling, even European wrestling, just everywhere, it seems like women's wrestling is finally on the cusp of being what it should be and what it could be. So I'm really interested to see, and if Mercedes is coming to AEW, like what that means for Japan and America, and if she's doing the strong shows, and then just the other stuff. I mean, there's Saraya, there's all the women, there's Britt, and then there's Masha's killing it, Impact, and on the indie scene. There's Thunder Rosa will hopefully be back at some point. Hopefully, I don't know how that's going to go with her injury, like how that changes how she works and things like that. But I'm excited to see where that could go. There's so much with women's wrestling that it feels like it's on the brink of that. 2023 could finally be a really big year for women's wrestling, and I hope that I am not let down. I really, really hope that is coming. I am interested when what happens with ROH streaming. I'm interested to see how they present that, especially when it comes to a weekly type of thing, which wrestlers they highlight, which wrestlers seem to move over. You and I have talked about a lot that we think maybe Work Horseman is going to be featured in the tag team division on the ROH side of things. I hope that they're featured heavily, of course. And I know I'm biased in that hope. But yeah, and I'm looking, and yes, and so Daza, that's what I was going to go back and add about the
I
women's
was going to
wrestling.
say that's the comment right there.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yes, thank you, Daza. It was seeing Hater's big baby face turn. I hope they build it up and execute it right as well.
Me too.
It could be done really well. They've been planning.
Clearly there. I mean, she's got it. So
they've been planting the seeds with her and Britt. They still are. Like, Britt walks out ahead of her.
Working. Yeah, I mean, it's work, but she is getting over on her. Like, she's starting that separation. I feel like, anyway, in my experience with it, I feel like the separation is happening. It's gonna be a good match. I mean, I think someone on the Bungo's Dynamite show, and maybe it was even Grandpa Dez, but somebody suggested boldly a women's Blood and Guts.
That would be very cool.
Loved that idea, and I wanted to. I'm like, I love that.
Here for that.
I think it was one of them. One of you guys, or somebody, if it was someone in the chat, I apologize, but whoever put that out there, I loved that idea.
Yeah,
I was like, what a great idea.
That's a phenomenal idea. I love that idea. I think that would be fantastic.
No one's ever done anything like that in the States before.
No, that would be okay. So we have clarification. That was Jeff's idea, and it's great. 100% agreed. Yeah. I love that. And then Paul also makes that he thinks women's wrestling is already built pretty well. The key is not changing anything about what has made. Oh, I'm sorry, not about women, about Jamie rather. The key is not changing anything about what has made her popular, which is tricky. Sure, yeah, I can see that. I agree. She's built so much momentum. And I would hate to see her lose it, especially because I don't want them to have an issue with Britt like WWE does with Charlotte. And we saw it again on Friday where they are relying on her, or where they keep her. I think they've got to make a nice balance with that. And I think they can get there. And it seems like this is probably going to be a Revolution match. So they have time to tell the story and stuff like that. So I'm really interested. Another thing I'm interested about in 2023, and I actually got a reminder this morning, is I'm excited to see what Kota Ibushi is going to do.
Yeah, right.
Because Kota is, he, of course, Twitter Translate does not work the best.
Oh.
But it appears that next month that he will be free of New Japan, which I think would make sense because I believe that's the last time he wrestled. Was in February of last year. Is that correct?
Yeah, I
can't or that's remember. When he got injured. Something happened around that time. So it sounds like he's about to be free. And then this morning, he posted a picture with Takeshita. I don't know.
That's right. I did see that.
I don't know.
And I was reading the translations and I was like, no, you people do not understand how these two languages go together.
Right. Yeah. The translations were not coming across clear at all.
What Chris Charlton does is a very unique skill because it is incredibly difficult to translate these two languages, because each of our languages are missing things. So it's a big mess on Google Translate usually.
Yeah, that's why I'm always Chris Charlton definitely helps out.
I'm always
a lot with that. So
Justin, help.
Yeah, and there was some show last night or yesterday, I think that it was that Ibushi was, I don't know if he wrestled in it or if he was just there, but then Takeshita was there as well. It appears that there was a picture, that where Kota trains in that room that he trains in, that we've seen pictures of him and Kenny training there before and things like that.
Well, that's Kenny where he wore a Kota Ibushi shirt the other night. So.
He did, yeah. And Kota saw it because I saw him tweet about it, or he liked to tweet about it, so he's aware. So yeah, I'm really interested to see. I don't think Kota comes to AEW full time. It sounds like he does not want to leave Japan. He's never wanted, especially now with everything that happened with his mom last year. I don't see him leaving her for long periods of time. I could see maybe a Forbidden Door match for him, and then maybe he just does whatever Kota wants to do. So
maybe he'll be on that second night of WrestleKingdom deal.
Yeah, I could see that. And then let's see, there's some stuff over here in the chat that's happening. Daza says that they should have Hater do less of the mean girl stuff, not having her take part in the beatdowns and her being about the wrestling, not the cheating. That's one way to start turning her baby face, is to kind of that actually kind of reminds me of Death Triangle a little bit, because Ray Phoenix has been really hesitant to do some of the stuff that Penta and Pac are doing, and he's been a little hesitant to use hammers and things like that. So that kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Paul says Britt, Jamie, Athena, Anna, and Ty versus Saraya, Tony, Sheeta. Mercedes, is that Mercedes Martinez or Mercedes Monet?
And maybe a returning Rosa for
Blood and Guts.
Blood and Guts.
That's
that's right after match. If they do it the same way they did it this year, because that ended up being just that happened
the show and not a pay-per-view. Right.
It was that it happened because it was the Dynamite after Forbidden Door. Because remember, it worked out weirdly that they ended up booking Forbidden Door 3 days before my first. We got the Dynamite. It's finally coming to Detroit.
Yeah.
And then we bought Forbidden Door tickets, and they were 3 days away from each other.
Surprise!
And then they turned it into Blood and Guts, along the way. So that became a huge. We got to see 2 giant shows.
Right? Yeah, you did.
Inadvertently, I mean, and that Blood and Guts was really. They did a really nice job with the cage stuff. I'm not usually into that sort of thing, and it's hard. I would sit further back. That's the only thing, but that's just me because I'm short. But
so Paul has clarified that was Mercedes Monet, which she would be phenomenal, but I would not mind seeing Mercedes Martinez in a Blood and Guts match, because she likes to kick people's asses, and I would like to see her.
I am all about that. I mean,
but I would be happy with either Mercedes being in that match. So Daza says that they should have Hater about to beat Jade in a Battle of the Belts match, and Britt costs her the match by interfering and getting her DQ'd. Wait, so for which title? Because they both have titles. Jade has a title, and so does Jamie. We'll wait and see if there's a response for that. But yeah, that's definitely possible, Paul. He said maybe both Mercedes then and no Rosa, and that's possible, especially even if Rosa is back at that point. Do they want to put her in that type of match that soon?
Right off an injury.
Yeah.
Potential injury.
Right. So she's had some really bad issues with her back. But yeah, I would take both Mercedes in that match, and I would also take a Mercedes versus Mercedes. I would like to see that as well. I like to see them together.
All the Mercedes you can handle.
Right.
Blood and Guts and Mercedes.
Okay, gotcha. Daza says in a champion versus champion attraction match.
I got
that's an interesting way that they could handle that. For sure. I think where they're going with, I think where they're headed, I think Battle of the Belts is going to be Jade versus Red Velvet. I think is where that's headed. I think they are building Red Velvet there, which Nikki and I talked about, and I was going to save this for next week's conversation, so I won't get super into that right now. They have time. If this match, they could do the match now at Battle of the Belts and have Jade win. But then they can have a rematch at Revolution, and they could build Red Velvet. I still think I personally would have either, if it's not going to be Willow, I would have it be Ruby Soho, because Ruby Soho is who she beat to become the first TBS champion. So I would have Ruby take the title off of her if it's not going to be Willow. But they could potentially do some stuff with Red Velvet. She just got her 30th win last Tuesday on Dark. She was off TV for a while, so it seems, but if they make this happen, if they make a rematch happen at Revolution in March, I think they could potentially have the time to build Red Velvet up. Or maybe, but if Mercedes is coming in, and then maybe Mercedes is the one to dethrone Jade. That's certainly something. Gotcha. Daza has clarified that it could be a champion versus champion match somewhere down the line, which I think is a really good idea. I think they could. I have thought at some point that Britt was going to cost Jamie an important match, and Jamie was
and
just
that's
gonna be.
I mean, that seems like the obvious way to go.
Yeah.
Is that, and that's fine. I don't even care. That's like the formula works for a reason, so
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's a good way to get herself further. Oh, I mean, because she has definitely got that big baby face turn thing coming.
It's coming, yeah, and there's still. I mean,
I really like her.
They have done a lot with the slow burn, which there's, I agree sometimes with the argument that they should have already done this, but they are still making it work by like Britt she answers for Jamie when Jamie's being asked questions from Renee. Britt will step in and answer. She talks over her. She stands in front of her still when they walk down the ramp together. Britt is generally in front or will cut over in front of her and things like so. They are still planting the little seeds of Jamie just finally getting fed up with Britt. So I definitely see it. I think that's going to be a Revolution match.
And I was going to say that seems like that's got to be Revolution. They can't draw it out much longer than that.
No, they can't, because if they don't do it then they can't do it.
It's the first week of March now, and we're talking about March 5th. It is. That's a long way off.
I think like the turn could happen like obviously, but yeah, the turn will probably happen in either end of January, early February, and then they build for the Revolution match. I think is at least that's what I would do. But we know how Tony builds matches sometimes.
4 days ahead of time.
Matches. But yeah, so I think that's what I would do. But it'll be interesting to see. And then I guess before we get out of here, another thing I'm looking forward to in 2023 is I get 3 wrestling shows this month.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about, because my local promotion only ran 2 shows and I don't know if they're ever coming back, which is really sad because I've been going for 11 years.
I had a brainwave. I think that Tony should run his ROH shows or some of those like Dark and Elevation shows, like some people talk about running them separately. They should start booking old like the venues like that where they used to book Evolve and Progress and stuff here. Cool. Because those venues are cold right now. And yeah, I'm telling you right now, you could easily do like a Darker Elevation in our or both in our
if they're
venue.
Doing the rumors they're doing house shows. So
they're talking about house shows. They should start booking in the places where Evolve, like where we saw Evolve and Progress. Like I would love to go back there. And I know that the KOC guys, we would talk to them and they were like, no, we love you guys. You're always respectful. You always clean up after yourselves. Like we were like, are you cool with us here? Like, what do you think about booking wrestling shows in the Knights of Columbus? And they were like, you guys are awesome. You always tip. Really cool. You're always respectful. Right. You always clean up after yourself. I was like, good job, everybody. But I know and I would love to see my friends just like you, same situation here, or people that you don't get to see unless you're going to wrestling shows. Yeah. They should be booking like either do the dark matches and stuff or ROH.
I would really like ROH to tour again. I always had fun at ROH shows.
I know it's a small venue, but I think you go a long way booking smaller house shows in places where people
and it gets people to know.
Are familiar. We know that place for wrestling, so it's
and I think that also that will help people who aren't super familiar with the ROH brand and some of the ROH people to like get them out in front of people like that. And you have your workhorsemen and you have your Gates of Agony and stuff like that. And you have, Willow Night. Well, I think Willow we talked about will probably stay on the other side, but then you have like if they bring in Trish Adora,
there you go,
for Women of Honor, like you have her over there, and you have maybe you get Kylan King if she doesn't sign with Impact first, which I don't understand why AEW hasn't signed her because Kylan's been killing it, but that's a whole
and they
other
have
story.
A lot. I mean, they have a ton of talent, but that would be he bought the whole infrastructure when he bought ROH, so he bought their touring equipment and everything. So he has this. I mean, at least
we might as well use it.
Peripherally, he has because he bought. I mean, he acquired everything, like right down to ring gear. Yeah, so like the actual rings. So I mean, I just feel like that. I feel like that's an untapped well. We would all love. I listen to other people like me and you talk about how I don't know if my promotion is coming back. Book those venues that we're all used
and so
to.
we're getting because that I'm surprised. I haven't told you yet. You may have seen some retweets, but we're getting GCW already. Like we just got them in August, and so I finally bought. Well, I finally bought tickets last week. I had to wait for some other, because had some car issues and things like that threw me off.
But I finally bought Tuesday or Wednesday. I was like, they were like, we're coming to Charlotte, and I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, they announced it.
And then I was like, at least I'll get to hear about it firsthand.
Yeah, they announced it, and they have announced, and I'm so excited. I get to see Vikingo. I cannot wait to see him. So excited to see Vikingo.
You guys, you got it. You caught it.
Yeah, and we're getting, I know, what else? Oh, we're getting, there was some crazy, what was the really crazy match we're getting? We're getting Ricky Morton and... Wait, who is he wrestling? Why did I forget? It's something crazy. And I was like, all right, why not? And I can't remember off the top of my head.
It's probably George South.
I think George is going to be, did they know?
He is on, I know he was on the card. Bussy was on the card.
Yes. We're also getting Commander, which I'm excited to see. Commander's been in a whole bunch of cool ass. I mean, I've seen him in GCW, but he's been in a bunch of cool gifts.
Living in a lifelong territory area.
Gringo Loco's on that show, and Gringo Loco is a lot of fun. I've seen him a few times. He wrestled one of the last shows that PWX ran was Lucha Mania, and he was on that card. And it was really cool. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to GCW. And so I get that, like, it's DPW on a Saturday, the following Friday is GCW, and then the next day I have another show from some local stuff, which I will actually talk about more because I believe may have booked us a guest. We're working out the details, but there's a new local thing happening, and I believe I told them that they're more than welcome to come on our show.
Nice.
To come talk about it. I don't know for sure. It may be all of the people involved. It may be one of the people involved. Just kind of depends on their schedule. And I don't know if that will be next Sunday or the Sunday after. So surprise for you. Surprise. I was waiting before I was hoping I would get more information.
Me, I love that stuff.
Yeah, I was hoping for more information before now, but they're still, I think, trying to figure out who they're going to send.
I'm so excited. I've got sirens going off.
I hear.
It's so exciting. Plus, I really would like to try and coax Mr. John LaRocca on our show to talk about women's booking sometime in the year.
I would love that. That would be fun. And so that's one of our goals for 2023.
Couple of goals.
Is to get more
people on here.
Try to get some more people on here. So
my horn's excited about it. Yeah. So I don't know exactly how this works, but so like I'm gonna mute my thingy here.
Okay. But, yes. It's time for this.
But okay, so if you've waited this long and you've stuck with us this long, thank you. Congratulations.
Paul, they probably are trying to wrap us up, but that's the sirens that go off pretty much every week now. Since we live stream.
Yeah, actually, and this one is specifically, it's because it's the first of the
Daza wants to be a guest too. We gotta make
yeah.
We'll work that out.
We'll see. Paul, you don't get to tell our people what to do. No. All right. So this is our gift that we were given.
It's amazing, and I love it so much.
So, all right.
Is it ready?
I think so. Let's hope this works. I think this will work. So
please let it work.
Please work. All right. I'm gonna mute my mic.
Okay. Do I need to mute?
I don't think so. I'm just going to because I don't want to me laughing. You'll be able to see if you're watching. So here we go.
Short turns I'm filthy and young Wheeler bleeding. Strong women's wrestling is what we are needing. Sitting and waiting for ring bells to ring. These are a few of our favorite things. Old pervy Vince being shoved out the door. Seeing Takeshita so much more. That girl Athena losing her wings. These are a few of our favorite things. Wrestlers are over, are bleeding like buckets. Daddy ass scissoring is the new suck it. So much good content I just wanna sing. These are a few of our favorite things. When the show starts, when the kicks fly, when I'm feeling sad. Please remember my favorite things, then I don't feel so bad. Short turns I'm filthy and young Wheeler bleeding. Strong women's wrestling is what we
Sorry,
are
I have to
needing.
stop it.
Sitting and waiting for ring bells to ring. These are a few of our favorites.
Dazzle says applause. I love that so much. Thank you for that gift.
Yeah, Paul,
it's incredible.
And I did a little lighter version so you would get it sort of because with the music, it's the best.
It is. I love it so much.
And Paul, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna post the Justin version, in its glorious form version that you guys did for us. I'm gonna post that on our audio feed, so that'll go up with our audio tomorrow, and so you guys will get to hear it.
Man,
get to hear the lit up version.
How are we gonna top the rest of the shows this year with that? Because
it's like a great way to start the year.
It's so great. The only thing that I would have added is maybe it's because it's me personally. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. I would have just added a few of my favorite things are destroyers and big meaty men slapping meat.
Yeah, right. Yep, that's the only little thing that he probably but I mean, that's the only little bit you'd have to slide in there.
Also, that it did sound better with the music. It was incredible, and I love it so much. Thank you.
Me too. Yeah,
Thank you for gifting us with that because I love it so much. And
I had it. When I was fixing that up a little bit for doing that version, I had to listen to it a few times. It cracked me up every single time. I've had to edit some audio before where it's not cool to have to listen to it 28 times, but this was totally worth every listen. It was wonderful. And I couldn't not do a music version. I love, as much as I love Paul's acapella.
No, Paul, it's fine. Paul said that he should have asked for our input, but he didn't want to spoil the surprise. No, it was perfect. You
nailed it. Thank you.
I loved all of those things plus those, the things I mentioned, but I loved it. And I'm glad that you didn't spoil it because that was not something we were expecting, and I love it so much. So thank you for taking the time to do that.
Yeah, seriously, that's really, really nice of you to take the time out to do that. And you guys go subscribe to the Patreon.
Yeah, please do.
Paul is the host of 18 things, but
he's busy.
One that I listen to very regularly, and we will be obviously doing our hanging out with Jeff coming up on the Dynamite show. Yep. It's my regular Thursday listen with Dave and whomever and I'm starting to listen to Paul and Jeff first, so they're just more exciting and funnier.
Well,
and you never know what's going to happen now. And now you've got the potential for just randos to pop in on their show.
Yeah.
So it's just fantastic stuff.
I don't think we can top that. I think we have to end the show right now.
We do. I think we do. I appreciate everyone sticking this out with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Our favorite things.
Yes. And thank you for oh, look at him. He's getting Mox would be jealous. Paul's getting his first 2 weeks off in 2+ years coming up.
Oh my gosh, Paul, you should call Tony and suggest that he does something similar for John Moxley. Just give him a quick call and be like, I'm taking a 2-week vacation, Tone. You should give that to Moxley times 8.
Thank you. Thank you for the comment.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for the song, Grandpa Dez.
Yes, thank you again. And thank you for everybody who hung out with us today, and those who chatted with us in the comments. And for those of you who will be listening on audio, we appreciate that too. Again, we are planning to live stream every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern from here on out. Obviously, things will come up here and there, and we'll give you plenty of notice. Hopefully plenty of notice if you follow us on Twitter and on Instagram, Powerbombshells. On both of those, we'll tell you ahead of time if something's going to be different or if we have to record and all that stuff. But yeah, so follow us there. Send us gifts. We like them. Daza said it's been a blast.
It has been a blast, Daza. Happy New Year's, you guys.
Yes, Happy New Year's. Yes, thanks so much. And we will see you next week.
Later.